Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here, and yes, let's get this out of the way. First of all, I am indeed in a new room. That is my bed, at least currently. If you guys haven't been watching on stream over the past week and a half or so, I mentioned that I was going to be moving my stream setup into a different room in my apartment. Now, I do plan on moving certain things around in here a little bit still, and I'm not really actually using all the stream lighting that I normally do right now. It's actually 1 in the morning, essentially, now, and I wanted to crank this video out to you guys with a little bit of actual light around me here. But regardless, today we got a new Shadowlands alpha build, and this build indeed did bring some changes to Warlocks. Nothing that's super impactful. We haven't gotten like new talents or an interrupt for demonology, nothing like that, but we did get a few things that I want to talk about today, dive a little more in depth on. Something that's a bit potentially buggy, maybe just a little bit out of place. We'll see. But I want to talk about that today and get to the bottom of these changes, what they actually mean. So, like I said, a quick shameless plug here. I do stream 5 to 6 days a week on Twitch. We actually just hit Twitch partner literally about 22 hours ago, which is insane. So, thank you guys for all your support. However, if you want to swing by and watch stream or grab any weak auras, profiles, add-ons, whatever, all of them are available to you for free on my stream. I'll put a link down here somewhere. Feel free to swing by, drop a follow, hang out anytime to watch some Shadowlands Alpha gameplay or just straight up watch some WoW gameplay. So let's get right into this and start off with the Unstable Affliction changes that we got today in Shadowlands Alpha. Alright, so the first change, like I mentioned, that I want to talk about is to Unstable Affliction. Now, this is sort of something that's been in Alpha for a while, however, hasn't really been highlighted. Basically, the actual tooltip changes that were data mined today by Wowhead and other various resources, it says Unstable Affliction afflicts the target with now 200% spell power. Shadow damage, I'm sorry. The spell power is a modifier. Over 16 seconds, it replaces 8 here. So, the thing is, people said, hey, Unstable Affliction got a really big buff today. Well, unfortunately, from what I can see, what we can see, the actual spell power modifier was most likely already in. The 200% and replacing 72.5, because Unstable Affliction has also been for like a 16-second dot for, I think, ever since the first build of Alpha. The tooltip has just been wrong, so this is most likely a tooltip correction when it comes to that actual part of this. You still deal 10% additional damage whenever UA is active on a target. If it's dispelled, it silences and all that, same thing. The thing I want to talk about here, down below here, it does still indeed say limit 1. So, not a whole lot's really changed there. It is still limited to 1 target. You can have 1 UA rolling on 1 mob anywhere. If it's a 1 mob pull or a 1,000 mob pull, 1 Unstable Affliction is what you're limited to. However, the change here that I want to show you guys generates 1 soul shard if the target dies. Now, this is really interesting because this has not been a thing on Alpha. Unstable Affliction has not generated a shard when the target dies. At least as far as I can remember. I'm pretty sure it didn't. I'm 99% sure. But regardless, what this means here is that you're essentially able to, regardless, the interaction I'm getting into here, I'm pretty sure it wasn't a thing before. It might have been an oversight with Alpha, but either way, Unstable Affliction, this version on Alpha, does not cost a soul shard. It just costs mana, because it's no longer a shard spender. That's Malefic Rapture. So essentially, let's say in Mythic Plus, there's a 5-pack pull or so. Or in some setting where you have 4 or 5 mobs that you pull, right? To get your dots rolling, you put your Unstable Affliction up on like the priority target, or maybe not the priority target. One of the two. We'll see. But regardless, you move your Unstable Affliction. You put it on like 1 target, but you notice 1 target's dying a little faster. Well, if you cast Unstable Affliction on that other target that's dying faster, it will just remove the UA you have rolling on the other target, but put it on the lower health one. So when that mob dies, essentially your UA is reset, but you get that shard back. And you didn't spend a shard moving the UA from 1 mob to another. Now, at this Mythic Plus, chances are high, at least at this point, we're probably going to be playing Drain Soul. Most likely, like we are on live now, if you're playing AF and Keys. But regardless, this is a subtle yet powerful interaction, seeing as how much damage Malefic Rapture currently does in Mythic Plus when you have Agony and Corruption. And Vile Taint and potentially other random dots or effects or things, depending on how like covenants and things affect Malefic Rapture, this can sort of feed extra raptures on trash. That low health mob dies, bam, you move your UA to the next lowest health mob while using that shard from the mob dying when it had UA active on it for a rapture. And also using the other shard you got from a Drain Soul for a rapture. And then guess what? That other mob you put your UA on died, move the UA again, rapture. This sequencing could be actually pretty relevant. There is still a cast time on UA, like I said, but the fact that it doesn't cost a shard anymore allows you to juggle it. And I guess there are certain points to this, like, depending how fast other mobs are dying, it might be worth it, it might not be worth it, but it's a subtle little interaction here, but I think it sort of does go a long way, in a sense, when it comes to raising the skill ceiling, I suppose, with Malefic Rapture Affliction. If you're playing Affliction in a dungeon, or in, I guess, in Mythic Plus, mostly a dungeon at this point, I've run a few on Alpha, Affliction does still take a little while to get going. You still have to cast your Seed of Corruption, or get your Corruptions rolling however you want to, typically a Seed at 2 or more targets here, depending if they're stacked or not. But either way, Seed of Corruption, Agonies, Vile Taint, roll your Unstable Affliction, but at that point, you're sitting on 3 to 4 shards, depending on how you were looking going into the pack. Malefic Rapture, with 3 dots on most targets and 4 on 1, with Unstable Affliction, makes up a lot of ground. When it comes to like raw damage in Mythic Plus, versus classes that go in and have a lot of like upfront burst but drop off. Your dots are actually ramping up. Your Agonies are getting to higher stacks. Your Corruption's taking... And then you're actually coming in with all this extra damage from Rapture, ramping in a much faster, shorter time frame than we are, in a sense, on live now, where instead you're just applying 3, 4, 5 Unstable Afflictions and everything else. And Rapture really helps shore up Affliction's toolkit a lot. And this Unstable Affliction juggling, in a sense, it could be a thing. But I really didn't see many people talking about it today. So I wanted to bring it up in this video and show you guys, I guess, talk about more so how the implications of this could be. So I do like seeing the 200% spell power buff here, modifier to UA. I think it needs still a bit more to separate it a bit from Haunt, because Haunt and UA do sort of feel relatively similar now. They both bring a 10% spell power modifier. They're both only active on 1 target, but the juggling of UA here actually is a pretty cool interaction, and I'm excited to play with it in Dungeons and Mythic Plus the further we go into Shadowlands. So let's get into some of the Soul Rot changes, which changes slash intended, maybe unintended interactions currently exist in this version of Alpha. Alright, so now we are actually in Torghast here, and like I said, there were a few changes to Soul Rot today as well. However, the intended one, or at least the one we know that's mostly intended, is Accursed Hand Wraps. It's a new anima trait in Torghast that says, casting Soul Rot, which is the Ardenweald Night Fae Covenant ability for Warlocks, increases the damage of your Drain Life spell by 200 for 8 seconds. Now, it doesn't say the next Drain Life, it just says Drain Life. So, we'll take this here. I actually got it on my first roll coming in here, which is pretty awesome. And here is Soul Rot. A 1.4 second cast on a 1 minute cooldown. Wither away all life force of your current target and up to 3 additional targets nearby, causing them to suffer 1,585 nature damage over 8 seconds. For the next 8 seconds, casting Drain Life will cause you to also drain life from any enemy affected by your Soul Rot. And Drain Life will not consume any mana. Consumes 20% of maximum health when cast. So I'm gonna be real with you here. Soul Rot's like Drain Life damage was immensely undertuned the last time we played with it. I have not played with this anima trait. I just walked in here and it actually was available to me. So let's give it a shot. We'll pull these 2 mobs here and we'll cast Soul Rot on them both after I tag them. Just gonna pet on passive. Try and okay, they're both casters. Perfect. Perfect. Well, let's do this. I'll Soul Rot 1 and see how quickly it dies. It takes a decent bit of damage. This is the necrotic beam, but it takes a decent bit of damage. It looks like it does hit a good bit harder. The cool thing here is that the actual 200% damage amplification lasts for the whole duration of your Soul Rot. It's not just the next Drain Life, which is like inevitable demise. In BFA, it lasts 8 seconds, which is the entire duration of your Soul Rot. So essentially, your Soul Rot is dealing a lot more damage than it normally would with this anima trait, which is pretty cool. The real interaction, though, that I want to show you here, I'll send my pet in, and actually, let's wait for Soul Rot to come off CD here, because now I'm not sure if this interaction is necessarily intended or not here, but I do want to say we have Drain Soul, and we have Shadow's Embrace. I don't know if this is intended. I doubt it probably is. But let's do this. Send him in. Go get him, buddy. He's going to AoE taunt. About now. Soul Rot. Drain all the souls. Drain all the souls. Shadow's Embrace, Shadow's Embrace, Shadow's Embrace. Half the mobs are dead. We're still draining. It does currently appear like Soul Rot actually is cleaving with Drain Soul as well. Now, chances are pretty low this is actually a thing. I imagine it's probably just an oversight. Maybe some kind of like, hey, this is Drain Life, it's a channel, and it's affecting Drain Soul now by mistake. If you watched stream or anything recently, you know that actual, like, we actually have had access to like the pet stable master or whatever for hunters as warlocks recently. I might even die here too. Feels bad. But I think this very well might end up being an oversight. But if it's not, having that extra value with Shadow's Embrace and just Drain Soul in general, it's pretty cool. Drain Soul does have that 20% or less health like pseudo execute built into it, so it's pretty awesome. But in the end, like, barring the tuning on Drain Life and Drain Soul being a lot better, or like Drain Soul hitting much harder, you're probably just going to end up casting Drain Life to try and recoup the 20% health you actually use to cast the spell, as well as like just Drain Life in the first place. I can't really tell here if the actual anima trait, Accursed Hand Wraps, is actually affecting Drain Soul. I don't think it is. It's just pretty hard to tell without logs, which we technically could do here, but I'm not going to log one floor. Really just for without damage meters or things like that. In the end, I don't think it's really intended, but it does indeed grant you a soul shard for every mob that's being drained. It's having its soul drained, I guess. You get a shard for each mob that dies, up to 4 or 5 that it's hitting. And it does also stack Shadow's Embrace on every single mob, which is why we had the talent there. And I would imagine the execute damage is also a real thing there too. So it's pretty cool. I don't think this interaction is necessarily intended. It probably is like a bug, like I said, but hey, I guess we'll find out in the next build or so, because honestly, there probably are certain scenarios where it's going to be pretty awesome to have the option of Drain Soul or Drain Life with Soul Rot. Now, before I end this video, I know this is not a Warlock, this is a Mage, and I swear I didn't name him Crack Joe. That was Blizzard's random default name generator, I swear to you. Regardless, this is a Fire Mage, obviously. There was a change today that was highlighted in a blue post, as well as the class changes on Alpha, referring to Fire Mages. Now, this does have relevance to Warlocks and just things in general, so bear with me here for a second, boys. If you look here in the 35 row, Flame On, Alex Strauss's Fury, and coming soon. Now, if you think back to BFA, a whole lot of classes had random coming soons throughout their actual talent tree here. This is because Phoenix Flames, has gone baseline for Fire Mages. Now, obviously, like, this is more of a Fire Mage, not as much a Fire Mage channel and things like that, but what I'm getting at here is, like, this is actually really cool to see, because when Shadowlands Alpha first came out, there was a few blue posts floating around. I don't know if it was actually a question that I believe Ian was asked during an interview, something along those lines, maybe. It might have been in one of Sloot's interviews, but he mentioned that for the most part, large class changes, or I forgot the wording on it, but it was sort of like large class changes aren't really going to be happening. What you see is sort of what you get within reason. And I wasn't really sure, I don't think most of us were really sure how to interpret this. Does this mean like whatever talents we've gotten are going to be there and that's it? Are there going to be more talent changes, spell changes, baseline abilities? I more so interpreted it as like, we're probably not getting Demonology WAD MOP Demon Form, or Demon Form Demo from then back, which I got news for you guys. It's not happening. I've said it for a long time. I'd love it back too. As long as Demon Hunters are a thing in this game, it's not going to happen. But I was thinking more, so that's probably what he's referring to. You're probably not going to see a large class overhaul like a whole other resource, like Burning Embers from Shards, something along those lines. But we haven't really seen any talent changes, any baseline spells come from like older classes or anything. So actually seeing Phoenix Flames go baseline for mages and full on remove the talent and just put a coming soon ability here is really cool. It shows that they're actually willing to still play with talent trees and classes and baseline spells and abilities. So I hate to sound like a broken record here. I know there are a lot of issues, potential issues, with Warlocks right now when it comes to like alpha, beta, or things people would like to see differently. All I can say is just we've given feedback. They're willing to play with talents and baseline abilities, and seeing that they're actually doing this with Fire Mage gives me even more hope in a sense that the Warlocks could very well indeed get some changes if need be. I think for the most part, Destruction's in a good spot. It might be the same gesture we've had for 18 expansions in a row here with Immolate, Incinerate, Conflag, Chaos Bolt, and Havoc, but just because it's not like a brand new fresh spec doesn't mean it's in a bad spot, and I honestly don't think it is. So yeah, that's that. Hopefully Fire Mage is not the last class to potentially get some talent and or baseline spell changes, but I think it being this early in alpha, we're probably going to end up seeing some better changes coming down the line for us. I think besides those points, though, for the most part, that's about all that alpha really entailed for Warlocks this week. We did get Ardenweald actually here, which you can see me running around and questing in a little bit here. Ardenweald is an awesome zone. I have to admit, it was not like at the top of my list of zones that I was most excited about, but Ardenweald is truly like amazing. I really like it a lot. Warlocks, like I said, did get some minor changes in a sense, but nothing that's like groundbreaking. I do think we're probably going to end up seeing some changes later down the line, but I'm happy in a sense with the UA change of sorts and that little interaction there we talked about. And hey, look, if Soul Rot ends up affecting both Drain Life and Drain Soul, sounds good. Cool to me. Thanks for watching though, guys. Once again, I do appreciate you guys bearing with me over the last week and a half, moving the actual stream computer setup into this room from the last room. That's really the main reason why I haven't been around as much this last 7 or 8 days or so on YouTube. So I appreciate it. I'm still going to end up changing a few things around in here, probably getting a bit better lighting. I don't have it all on right now anyways. And these lights in the walls here actually are LED lights. They can turn on to any color combination I possibly want. Really, swing by stream, check them out. But yeah, I'm probably going to be changing a few things around here still. So thank you for bearing with me, guys. I do really appreciate it. Any questions about Ardenweald, the Warlock changes, suggestions, whatever, let me know. Drop them in the comment section below. And also let me know what you think about the Drain Soul, Soul Rot interaction, if you like it, if I've missed anything in this video, subtle little interactions here and there, and just what you guys have been, what your thoughts are on Warlocks. I mean, I haven't been around for a week and a half. What are you guys doing? But yeah, thank you so much, guys. Next video coming up should be, I imagine, based on Warlock Covenants. I did sort of have that video halfway done, but I wanted to postpone it a bit because of there being a new build coming out, potentially, which we got today. And there was a minor impending catastrophe change, but nothing really relevant or worth talking about here. But it will sort of have me change the video a bit. So I'll be looking for that in a few days. Once again, guys, thank you so much for all the support. I appreciate it. If you want to see more WoW content, be sure to smash the like, share, and subscribe buttons down below, as it really helps. Thank you so much, guys, and I will see y'all again soon on stream. Peace.